believe me if I told you that I'm not even really sure what risotto is?
So risotto is basically it uses a type of rice. It's called arborio rice, and there are other versions you can buy, but it's a short here. Let me get this butter in here because there's a half a stick of butter plus more later on. This is a rich dish. So arborio rice is rice. Let's see. Can you see that? They're kind of short,
Yes.
fat rice,
Oh,
and they have lots of starch. So when you cook it slow with a lot of broth, it goes from the hard rice, and then it very subtly gets to this creamy stage where
mm.
you want to be at. And my household loves it. We go out to several restaurants that make it in different ways, and they probably order it all the time. And it's
Uh-huh.
just not something I order, but I thought, why not? Now over here, as in this steaming pot, which happens to be under, I got this really cute trivet.
Isn't
Yes.
that pretty?
Isn't it pretty? It's got a recipe on it and all. I wonder where it came from.
I know. It looks like my handwriting.
It does look like a certain person's handwriting. So what I did is I had made chicken stock because I had a rotisserie chicken left over a couple, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I had made stock. So I took it out of the freezer. I heated it up because I wanted warm stock. So now I've got butter nice and melted. I don't want it to burn, which is something that will easily happen. Now, one of the things that's a little different, and I talked to two chefs last night. They said there's no reason you can't use an electric skillet for risotto. Any skillet that has a wide enough side. And in fact, some people prefer doing a flat bottom skillet instead of one of the traditional pans, although I do know some people who make it in a more like a wok dish because they feel it spreads it out. And the idea is you want to add the broth and stir so that you don't get burns, don't get scorches, but you want it to absorb and to sort of evaporate. So that's what we're looking at. I got
I
that
use
cooked.
my electric skillet quite often these days. I'm looking at these ingredients because I printed off the recipe
Uh-huh.
and I'm going, how in the world is that going to taste? That is so different.
I have no idea. Now, I will say, I'm a big fan of sweet and savory. Many of you who've watched me cook for Food Talk before, or my own recipe, my own pages or my blog, I do like sweet and savory mixed, and I do use a lot of fruit. And the reality is, we often eat strawberries with balsamic vinegar and basil. That's very common. So it could, and the risotto in this case, because I'm using a chicken stock, you could use a vegetable stock and make this vegetarian without a problem. I think what it's going to do is you're going to get sort of a little bit of that sweetness, but then you're going to get the chicken flavor and in the rice, which is really, rice is sort of a carrier. Now, if I put bacon in this, which I'm apt to do, it wouldn't be the same. Now, I already washed these. That's why I have the rubber bands back on them. So I know I washed them last night, trying to save a little bit of time. Because guess what happens today, Sherry?
What?
Santa's beard gets cut off.
What?
I get to go back to my regular, trim, clean cut beard
Oh, I thought you were
today.
going to cut the whole thing off. I was like,
Oh
what?
no, my face hasn't seen the light of day in at least 15 years. The last time I
Oh,
did that, it was for a fundraiser. It was for a fundraiser for Men's Health for prostate cancer and colon cancer. It was called Movember. My team did really well in the Bay Area, but I think most of it was because people were like, "We'll pay you, but don't ever do it again," you know, and like, don't ever take it off. Now, I like facial hair, but I've let it grow in at the holidays because I do a lot of the Santa stuff for the kids, and I read to a bunch of the kids whose families I work with. So it gives me a little bit of fun to read some of some of the Christmas stories, or in some cases, I actually will do that. Or have you been a good little boy or girl to keep them, ready for the holidays, especially those kids who are in that age where they begin to question it. All
Well,
right,
we
so I
have,
got my onions are now. My onions are nice and soft. I don't want to get them super brown. I don't want to get them crispy. I just want them to get soft. So I lowered my heat a little bit. My broth is already hot, and then I've got my frozen blueberries. Quite
you're,
frankly, I wasn't impressed with the quality of the blueberries at the store, so we went that way.
you're not seeing the comments, but the chef God says Team Frank is in the building.
Hey there, boys. Moises, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Um,
And I wanted to,
we've had storms and flooding here, so this is an unusual day for me to actually have time to be able to do this during the day, although I kind of like these afternoon spots, to be honest. So what goes in this recipe? Not a lot.
can
Butter,
I say
onion.
one more thing? Erin Grape Juice has been tapping the screen. People think we don't know, but she's been tapping the screen since she got in here. And
Oh,
TikTok
okay.
Cowboy showed up now. Hi,
Thank you.
Cowboy.
Thank you. So this is, making risotto doesn't require a bunch of things. You're going to need butter. You're going to need stock of some sort. You're going to want the right kind of rice, and then Parmesan cheese, and then a little bit of cream, which I have to get. So in a minute, I'll go get that. So in a pan of 4 tablespoons of butter, I melted it, and then I put an onion, and I'm using a half an onion because I felt it was a big onion. And now what I'm doing is coating my rice. And yes, no, I did not rinse the rice. Why? Because I'm following Vicky's recipe the way Judy wrote it. So it did not say rinse the rice, so I'm not
I
rinsing
don't
the
rinse
rice.
my rice. I do not.
Yeah.
Put me in rice jail. I don't care.
Well, I think in this case, I want the starch. The starch is what's going to actually add to the creaminess, so I don't want to rinse that starch off. What I'm doing, really, all I'm doing right now is I'm just coating this to get me. I want all that oniony oil coating these grains of rice. Why don't you tell folks about Food Talk and Grub Match? Is Sketchy in the room? Because that was an incredible
She is.
episode. I'm going to step away and grab the cream before I start this.
Y'all, this is Food Talk TV. There are 12 creators, and we go live every day. Not all of us, one at least once a day. We take turns going live. And today, Frank is stepping in here because Andrea is not up to snuff. And so he is going to cook. He's cooking risotto for you. And then we have Sketchy Chef, I think, still in the comments. She has a thing on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time called Grub Match. And you can go to look up at the top left where it says Food Talk TV. That's how it's spelled every platform we're on. We have foodtalktv.com. You can go there and sign up to cook against Sketchy Chef. You can do it by a dish or you can do it by ingredients. And last week she went against City Girls Kitchen and it was a tornado in there. I'm telling you, they worked. And you can go to foodtalktv.com to vote for who you think won. If you didn't see it, go to YouTube, Food Talk TV, and you can watch that battle. And she's needing more contenders right now. So if you feel froggy, then go sign up, and we would love to let you cook against her. It would be awesome.
It was an incredible show, I have to say. It made me nervous. I love the fact that you were like, everybody was on our edge of our seats. All,
And everybody's saying, you only have 7 minutes. Plate
okay,
your food.
let's not add any stress to that. And both, Sketchy as well as our challenger, they just stepped up their game. And I'm very excited. Matter of fact, you can still vote. If you can go to YouTube, you can watch the live and you can vote still. Voting is available. And then our next episode is Monday with
Against That's So
That's
Chris.
So Chris. Yep. Is Chris in the room?
I don't see him. I think I invited him. Um, yeah, yeah, I
Chris, are
did
you in the
invite
room?
him.
Say hi.
He's probably working.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Well, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
if for nothing else, it's a great show. It'll be a lot of fun. The food will be great. You'll see all sorts of little hacks. I have a feeling, our host, in this case, Trisha, as well as the challengers, will be bringing in all of their A games for this. So visit the website. You'll be able to find that out. So now, what I'm doing, just to get back so people see what I'm doing, I am adding the hot broth about a half a cup at a time to my pan. And then I'm stirring it. Now, some people say stir it a lot. Some people say you don't have to stir it a lot. Just give it a little stir. You can actually walk away from it if you want a minute or two. I like dishes like that because I tend to, answer a text message or get on a Facebook chat with people. So now, you will notice that I didn't put any salt or pepper in this. Why? Because I know what my stock tastes like. It's already
Right.
salty, and I put pepper and everything in it. So I don't need to add any extra flavoring. And all I'm really doing throughout this whole process is waiting for the rice to absorb each ladle of stock. I'm going to add probably about 8 cups to this, to the maybe a little bit less. And I this was about I think this was about 2 cups of Oreo rice. It was a little shy than the 2.5 cups that her recipe said.
So you just, when it starts looking like it needs broth, you just add it.
Yeah, as soon as I can move it and I don't see any liquid, sort of like the way we do custards or pudding, then I'm going to add about one good ladle, maybe a little, maybe two good. My ladle is a half cup ladle. I measure it, so I have 3 different ladles. I know one's a cup, one's a half cup, and one's a quarter cup. My black one is a half cup. And I'm running at about 350, 300 to 325 to 350 on my electric skillet. It's about a medium high heat for those of you who are going to do this like on a regular stove. But I'm watching it. If I feel like it's cooking too fast and absorbing too fast, I'm going to lower it just a little bit. But I don't want to keep it too low because then it will steam the rice in a way that isn't going to be a flavorful way. Or so I've been told, because I don't cook risotto. I don't eat it usually. So I made a bunch of phone calls to friends who make this all the time, or who make risotto, and said, "What are your 5 biggest mistakes?" And many of them said temperature, type of rice, using stock that is cold and not warmed up, and thinking that and overcooking it.
They're
I will
talking
say
about
though,
sketchy. They're talking about sketchy in the comments. Like,
what are they saying about her?
well, some of them said they'd be afraid to go up against her, and Bradley said, "Yeah, she's an awesome chef. Just don't tell her I said that."
Yeah, you know what? She may be an awesome chef, which we know she is. And I made. It was funny last night. I made white boy Mexican food last night. Sketchy. Don't come after me. But I bought pastor sauce, and I bought salsa and enchilada sauce, and I had some tacos, and I had made an Italian porchetta on Sunday. So I chopped it all up, and I made like a Mexican lasagna using all the jarred ingredients because Paul happens to like. It was pouring rain and I wasn't going out, and I thought, oh my god, if Sketchy ever saw this, she would just no. But I don't cook Mexican food. It's Paul's favorite. I'm not of that cuisine era. I like to buy it, but I
Sketchy
said, all
said,
right,
Sketchy said, "Aw, Frank, that's okay."
yeah, the fact is though, what I do, and this is what I attribute though from what I'm learning from all of you, whether it's other creators or our food talk people, is Sketchy fills in the blanks of what seasonings I should use or what that sauce should taste like, how I can layer it together. So it still gives me a concept, and then if I get motivated, maybe I'll take an actual class. I mean, live in San Francisco, we've got an incredible markets here for Latinx foods.
Yeah, people like to come at people trying to cook outside their wheelhouse, like me trying to make a gumbo. I did a low country boil, and they're like, "Girl, that is not how we do it in Louisiana." I said, "I know, I'm from Arkansas. Come on,
Yeah,
cut me
I
some
think
slack."
they do. I mean, I hear that from Italians who are saying, "Well, we don't cook that in Italy." Well, I'm not in Italy. I'm Italian American, and I'm two
Exactly.
generations separated. This is how my family made it, but it doesn't mean I can't cook Chinese. Or if I spent 6 months in Thailand, that I can't cook Thai. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, and I love to credit the chefs whose recipes I'm looking at and learning from. But please, food is meant to be shared, and that's the one thing I don't understand people who won't share recipes. So I go to a restaurant and I let the server know how much I've enjoyed it. When that chef comes out to sit down at the table and say, "Oh yeah, let me tell you, that was actually a mistake. We started, I forgot to add one thing one day," and you get the story, and then like this is what makes food accessible, and I'm really about accessibility when it comes to our food choices. I don't think anybody should be a gatekeeper of a recipe. Yes, credit whoever recipes you're using. I definitely say cite it, use it. Like when I put this up on Food Talk, I will make sure I'm citing Vicky as the original owner, as well as Judy's version, her rendition. But I think that the idea is everybody should be able to try new foods. And the reality is, like it or not, there are very few unique dishes to every culture. And that's
Right.
usually based on geography. But everybody has a rice dish, everybody has a vegetable dish, everybody has a pork dish, a chicken dish. We just season them differently based on what we have available.
Exactly. I was talking to Sketchy earlier, and we were talking about how she naturally plates in a beautiful manner. I mean, she's not, hers is not put on the plate and then rearranged. Hers is put on there naturally and it looks beautiful immediately. I'm one of these who would have to throw a sprig here and there. And I said, people say you eat with your eyes, but I eat with my mouth. I don't care. I don't care if it's beautiful, if it tastes awful. It needs to be pretty as you can make it, but taste good.
I agree. I mean, that's one of my big things is I love to go out to dinner, right? I love to go to a restaurant, but when I'm going to move this so you all can see it, just because I want you to see what it's looking like. But when I order a dessert in a restaurant and it tastes awful, I won't eat it. I'll take one bite and I'll just stop eating it. Because I don't order, I have a certain sweets that I like, but
Yes.
I would rather spend my money on food and make desserts. But, I think sometimes white food, brown food, tan foods, they are not appealing. They don't photograph well, but guess what? They can be incredibly rich in flavor.
Well, Chris is in here and he's like he's having issues, but this is the guy that just that's so Chris. He is the one who is competing Monday night, 8 p.m. Central on Food Talk TV against Sketchy Chef. They're going to do grub match. And it's going to be, do you know what the theme is, Frank?
I did not get that word yet. I don't know what our theme is yet.
I know it's sort of, well, the ingredients. They're going by ingredients this week, and it's going to be more like Italian themed.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be
I
ready
knew
for
that.
this one.
I knew you'd like that.
But I want to say something because I know we were laughing about everybody was laughing because Kaz was making a tie-in yesterday on his live. Let me remember if I'm invited to your home, I'm going to eat whatever you put in front of me because I didn't have to cook it. I don't care what you're putting in front of me.
Me
This is
too.
one thing I learned with my dad is if somebody else is cooking, that's great. I don't hold it to any other standard. I don't compare it to mine. So no one should ever have to feel like, oh, I can't cook because and I've spoken to a lot of chefs, a lot of really incredible home cooks. They've all said the same thing. Like, dude, if I don't have to cook, all the way to the bank, I'm happy. I don't compare it to me. Yes, I make certain things well, but if Kaz was making that dish for me last night, I'm going to eat it. I am not going to critique it. Now, if he says, Frank,
Homemade
what would you do
pasta?
differently? I might say that. I might say, well, I don't, maybe I would use a different can or something, but they're minor. It's not because he didn't do it right. I think he
I
did it
would eat
great.
homemade pasta any day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
That's what,
here are the ingredients for Monday night: tomato, basil, mozzarella. Think of all
hmm.
the things you could do with that, Frank.
You know what? You could.
Yeah, I know. You could.
Oh, we all could.
I don't even know what to do with goat cheese. I have some and I'm like, I got to figure out something to put this on.
Goat
So,
cheese, if you let it get room temperature, it's spreadable, it's crumbleable. You can put goat cheese in this and it would be great. You can put it in hot pasta, cold salads. You can put it in a sandwich. You can mix it with herbs and make it a spread. I really, goat cheese is it's softer than feta. It's got its own particular flavor, um, but I love it. I actually like using it. Like I'll buy. Pizza dough or puff pastry dough, and I'll bake it first, and then I'll add the goat cheese and maybe some sautéed onions or some tomatoes, some herbs, and then I'll put the goat cheese on, and I'll just bake it that way. Goat cheese itself won't melt though; it won't spread, but when you bite into it, it's going to be super soft.
pears. Oh, on pears.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. And she said, I love eating at other people's homes. I'll even do the dishes.
Well, in our household, that's the rule. They have to eat whatever I put in front of them, and then if I do, and I cook almost all the time, and then they have to do the dishes, which of course I get. Do you have to use so many pans? Sometimes. But in this cookbook, Judy's cookbook, it's Italy Cooks. There's a couple recipes that I'm going to make, but I don't think I'm going to tell them what's in them because it's foods they probably won't eat if I told them. Like one of them is tongue. It's not something that a lot of my friends eat, but the recipe and the flavors sound so good that I thought, well, if I don't tell them what it is, I'll have a backup plan. But I thought I'd give it a shot.
Did you say tongue?
Tongue, yes. Yeah, it's like liver. You either love it, hate it, never tried it.
No, I don't like liver either. Okay. So anyway,
Yeah, it's like
Ashton,
pig's feet, pickled pig's feet. If you grow up with it, you like it. If you've never had it, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go there.
arugula pear salad with goat cheese. Mm. Just
Yes.
like Granny's in here.
You know that arugula salad that you just mentioned? Put a little everything but seasoning on it. You'll be good to go. You
Everything
don't
but
even need a fancy dressing. Just a simple orange or lemon vinaigrette, or just a few squirts of orange and lemon, and a little bit of a nice white vinegar. I tend to like white vinegars over red vinegar, but that's preference.
okay. I guess I'm too country because they're just well now I've had deer heart, but
Hmm.
it's just like the meat. It tastes just like the meat, you know.
A lot of them do taste like it's just it might be a texture difference. Um, it's like tripe and other internals. It's just if you don't know what it is or you get this image in your head.
I got to tell you
All
what
right,
Ashton said.
what did
Ashton said
Ashton just say?
she said I've bitten my own tongue on accident a lot eating. Does that count?
You and me both, girl. Let me tell you, especially when I haven't eaten all day. So it's close. All right, so let me recap. We are about three-quarters of the way through of making risotto, a dish I have never made before. I had 4 tablespoons of butter. I had a half of diced onion. I sautéed my arborio rice, and I've been slowly adding a homemade chicken stock to it. And we are getting close. I'm going to taste it because I don't want it to just not quite al dente. But that butter and the onion I can is already flavoring it. I added no salt and pepper because I made a homemade chicken stock, so I know what my salt content is. And is if you're going to do something like this recipe because you're curious and you use better than bouillon, which we all have, I think Food Talk should like be major sponsors of the way we go through this product. Um,
Amen.
just check the salt content before you add more salt to a dish. I do that by habit. My dad was a diabetic growing up, so my mom always checked salt. We always undersalted foods for him, and so I even do that today. Matter of fact, people are constantly asking me, "Did you put salt in this?" I'm like, "Taste it first, and then you can add your own."
Exactly. Well, Ashton said she'd try anything once. I will too, twice if I like it. I spent so many years, Frank, not trying things until I finally ate some sushi, and now I will eat it every
Yep.
single day. Love it. I regret how long I didn't eat it.
I was like that with your favorite vegetable, one of your favorite vegetables for years, because everybody would say it's slimy, it's hard to cook. And then I finally, when I was in Atlanta for 7 months working, I went to several restaurants and I ordered it, and I'm realizing, oh, this is good if it's well prepared. Why
Right.
am I afraid of a vegetable just on reputation? But my dad and my dad was a big fan of try once, try a second time at a different place, and then you never have to eat it again if you really don't like it. So Paul, for instance, about every other year, he'll try squid. He just doesn't like squid. And he'll try it every few years, especially fried, but he'll like the smell, it just doesn't like how it tastes. So, okay, good. We know that now.
Yeah, well, Bradley said he tried liver once, not twice, because he didn't like it.
Yeah. Cod liver, I don't blame him.
Now, listen, I will use liver to fish with, but I'm not eating it.
Years and years ago, I used to bartend, and I was a big guy. I was bigger then than I am now. Like when I graduated college, I think I was four pant sizes bigger. And I had gone on I started to lose weight and work out, and I lost a lot of color because I did it too fast. And the owner of this restaurant is an older guy, and he treated us all very much like a family. And I was a manager there. And on Friday, one night, he looked at me, and I made the mistake of coming into work with a black shirt, knotted, closed at the neck, and I had no facial hair, and I looked pale. He sat me down in the corner and had the kitchen make. He used to eat every Friday night liver, so I had liver, bacons, and onions and brown gravy, and he made me eat that 3 times a week until I got color back, because he felt I had lost weight too much, too
Uh,
fast, and I needed the iron. So I'm not a big fan of liver, but if you smother it in bacon, I'll probably eat it.
yes, hurts. There's Kaz. Here's Kaz.
Hey there, Cass. Hey, everybody. So we're doing a risotto. What's going to be a little different about this risotto is it's a risotto instead of mushrooms or seafood, which is very traditional, and chicken. This is a recipe that comes from the Pisa, the Veneto region in Italy. And what's going to have is it's actually going to have fresh fruit. You can actually use frozen. You can do either way. So what I've just done over the last 10 minutes or so is I've been slowly adding um, stock to my arborio rice, and I'm gonna
So
try and do this.
can you explain al dente to me?
Yep. So al dente, it means to the bite. So if you eat a piece of raw, I'm tasting it now. If you eat a piece of raw pasta, and when you bite through it, you feel that crunch, that separation. That's raw. Al dente means when you bite down, you get a little bit of resistance. Your teeth are not going right through like an overcooked um, noodle. So the idea is when something's al dente, it should have just enough. Traditionally, what it means is to the tooth. That when you bite it, you get some resistance. You feel like you're going to biting through something, which is right about where it is now. This is actually tasting really good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add quarter cup of it's about it's a half a cup. It's a cup and a half of blueberries, strawberries, and in this case, I used blackberries because the raspberries weren't looking all that great.
And I'm just not understanding how this is going to taste with onions and chicken stock and
You and me too. You girl, you and me. This was an experiment. I love the story behind it. That's what I was doing. So it's going to turn your risotto a color. So, and now I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more stock.
it's pretty.
Oh my, what a smell. All of a sudden you get the smell of the fruit, but it's not conflicting with the savoriness. It's actually kind of good. Hmm. All right,
Hmm.
so this is almost to the point. And now I am going to add a little bit more pepper, and I'm going to add some cream. Now I'm using lactose-free cream. You use what you can use. I don't. I'm trying to cut as much dairy. The Christmas holidays just taught me a lesson. I got to be better careful around dairy products. Now look at. Remember we had almost 8 cups of broth that's gone in. Look, you're not even seeing any broth left. It's all been absorbed. All that flavor the um, is in the rice now.
Now, listen, I would put fruit and cream in rice or risotto, which is, you said rice. I don't know about the onion and the chicken stock. That's got me concerned.
Well, I think if you didn't do the onion in the chicken stock, it's going to come off as a dessert, and
Good.
it won't be savory.
It'll be breakfast.
Right, right. You could do it breakfast. This is a savory dish with a sweet, a little bit of sweetness to it. And then you notice I still haven't put any salt in it. Guess what I'm doing now?
That's not going to be Parmesan cheese
Oh, yes, ma'am, it is.
on fruit.
On fruit.
Do goat cheese instead.
No goat cheese in this recipe.
Okay.
All right. There is my Parmesan cheese. I am from the school of when you add Parmesan cheese, you always turn your heat off. I'm adding just a little bit more broth. I don't like to add Parmesan cheese when I have the fire going because I feel it will separate and get oily.
Well, it looks pretty, but I'm going to take your word on what it tastes like.
I bet this would be a fun summer starter as a pasta. It would be a fun dinner when it's cold out. And I'm going to probably, if I like this, I will tell you, I will most likely try this with peaches.
Oh,
I'm a big
yes.
fan of rock fruit, so peaches and pears, plums, anything that. But I think you have to keep it just hard enough.
Hey, you know where I'm going after this? I'm going to go
Where?
get me some pears for my goat
Mm.
cheese. Hey, and if this is good, look what I have. I have the recipe right here.
Well, I got to tell you, I am making. Uh, I have to go to a party, and I said I would make a dessert. So I've been waiting for an excuse to make the rosemary pear cake, and you make a
Oh,
rosemary syrup. But I want to be able because it does take time to bake. So I want to make sure that I have. I'm going to make two, so I have one that can bake and um, one I can do with everybody. But I'm telling you, talk about an interesting combination of flavors. All
okay.
right,
So
so
people
this
are saying they want to try the recipe. If you'll go to foodtalktv.com in the next day or two, this recipe will be there.
now I want you to look at how creamy this looks right now. Can you see that? Here, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
unplug my power.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, it's pretty.
It is, and I thought it would get much more blue or red, but it has this light pink cast to it. Now, what I'm gonna do is it's pretty much dry. I think I've got my flavor profile. Let me just take a little taste. Oh, I just had a blueberry. Okay, I would do this again. And I
Really?
don't like risotto normally. For me, I would make this again. I like this flavor of the fruit. It's not coming across like a dessert. It's just coming across as it's like if you've added fruits like blueberries or other fruits to your main course, and you'll get those pops of sweetness.
It's not cereal, Kaz. Listen, there's a lady in here wants to know. Dolores is her name. What is that? I would tell you, except he says it's so much prettier than I do.
This is it's risotto al frutti di bosco. It's risotto with berries, and I used a strawberry, a blackberry, and blueberries. It's from the Veneto. It's a recipe that comes from the Veneto recipe region of Italy, and I'm just trying to make it look nice because that's how they would plate it in a restaurant.
I just eat it out of the pan for me.
Girl, I got news for you. That's how I'd eat it too. It's like if I'm home alone like I am today, I haven't. I have not had been alone for months here, and so I said I am just going to eat this. It's going to be my lunch. Paul will get some tonight when he gets home. So I'm just going to because I happen to like. There's one fresh herb that I like. This was not in the recipe, but I think basil and fruit goes really well. So I'm just going
No,
to put a
no, there's no
yes,
sugar. Somebody said, is there sugar in it? Not a bit.
no
Only thing
sugar.
sweet in it is the fruit.
Yep. There's no sugar. There is other than you if you could make this with
Mm, pretty.
you could
And
make this with to make this vegetarian, all you would have to do is use a vegetarian stock. I used a non-dairy cream, so the only real butter was just the butter I used. I could have even added more butter. I didn't feel I needed to. And Parmesan cheese. If you were going to use um, vegetarian or vegan alternatives of this, it would probably work.
well, if you're not a risotto fan, but you would make it again, then I'm going to buy risotto while I'm at town because have, well, now I have raspberry. Oh, I have raspberries. So I just need to get some blueberries and strawberries and
You
some.
know what? I'm liking it. I
Is
think it's
arborio, is arborio rice the same as risotto?
well. That's the brand. That's the type of rice. There are different types of rice: long grain, short grain,
Okay.
jasmine. Arborio is the type of rice. I think there's another name they use too for risotto, but arborio seems to be.
Well, you're enlightening me on the ways of the world because you bring up things I've never even thought of, or and it always turns out so sweet and pretty.
I am telling you, I think this was a surprise. I did not know what I was gonna. I didn't know. I thought, well, this is either gonna be one of those epic fails of a dish, and I
Or
knew that there were gonna be people who were like, oh no. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. You don't have to eat it, but I
true.
want to share different things with folks.
It's so pretty. Ellen, I think, or Mary Ellen said that would be good with a piece of fish.
It would go great with a piece of fish because normally you could have fish or chicken in the dish. This would go great with a side salad for a lunch. A piece of I would do a fish like a white fish, something that's not super fishy.
Right.
Um, but I think that would go really nice. And that's it. That's how easy it is. I like I said, folks. The recipe this comes from is called Italy Cooks, and it's by Judy Ziegler, and she traveled all over Italy in her work with her husband, and she has stories of her travels. She died in September, so books are still available on her website, or you can find them. A matter of fact, she has an incredible recipe for kosher recipes because she was an Italian cookbook author and a Jewish cookbook author as well. But you can find this on her website still. I'll have the link, or you can actually probably find it in on eBay because it's not new. But I wanted to honor Zeke's mom and try something new to push my own boundaries. So that's our recipe for tonight. Now, a couple reminders. Food Talk TV, we are a group of creators that come together. We do a variety of styles of foods every single day, sometimes twice. We're online with sharing our recipes and our humor and our styles. We make food
And our
accessible.
cookbooks.
We
Did you know this is wooden? Did you know it's printed in 1936? Are you
uh,
sure you want me to have this?
I have one. I have two.
It's an
That's how you got that one.
antique. I love it.
I'm making a recipe out of there for something I just took out of that one, as a matter of fact, this weekend. We are on all the social platforms. Gluten Free Mama Ann puts us out on all of our social platforms. Follow all of our creators. If you can get the full list on our website at foodtalktv.com. Don't forget on Monday nights now, after the Organizer Man, we have our grub match with where our followers and friends, get to challenge Food Talk TV, and in this case, it's Trisha, Sketchy Chef, and challenge to a food cook-off for 1 hour. This week, we just had our first one. It was well received. You can see it on YouTube. All of our lives go on YouTube within about 24 hours after they're live, after we've done them for you. And give us ideas or thoughts. We also have Cooking Club, which is a sideline. It's from Food Talk TV, but you get the information on our website. It's a members only group where everybody gets the recipe and they cook the dish in real time together via Zoom. We have our recipe blogs. We try to put up as many of our recipes as we can up on the blog every few days.
Okay, and speaking of which, we have a question. I missed this recipe. How do I find it? So you can go to foodtalktv.com, look in the upper left corner, that's how it's spelled. It's not TALK, it's TOK. And go to foodtalktv.com and the recipe will be there. And if you go to YouTube, this whole live will be there within 24 hours.
Yes,
As a
it will.
general rule.
As a general rule, I try to get the blogs up pretty quick. I have a couple things, so I'll get this up by tomorrow. It's the blog is called In the Kitchen. It's right there on the webpage. You'll be able to click on it and see all of our recipes. And we encourage you. So you can comment. Comments are on. If you make something and
Well,
you do it differently, you try it. Let us know.
Well, you know what I really got to thinking about the other day, that I don't know that we as a group think about it that often, but we have a gluten-free cook, we have a keto cook, and we have a vegetarian cook. We have a southern cook and a comfort food cook and an Italian cook. We have just about we run the gamut here.
We do. We have a Mexican and Latin infused cooks. Several
Mhm.
have done that. We also have folks who post healthy alternatives, whether it be for diabetes or other health conditions. So we try, and like I know many of us are wanting to change recipes, make them a little healthier based on our guests. So we take and learn from each other. Sometimes I'll just take a challenge and I'll take a recipe and keep reworking it. Some of us are doing that too. So, and if you're interested in joining Food Talk TV, follow the link up on the top, and it'll go to the website, and it'll tell you in the link in bio how you can join us. And with that, thanks for spending lunch with me. I'm gonna finish eating my sample, and then I've got to take my picture um, in the rain because it's my only natural sunlight. And we'll see you all soon. Enjoy. And I want to challenge you. It doesn't have to be this recipe, but try something new in the first 30 days of this month. Try something that you're seeing that isn't in your wheelhouse. Take a risk and try a new flavor, a new combination. If you get stuck, food gets stagnant. And when we get stagnant, we stop living. Life is about experiencing flavors. So yes, this is a risotto with fruit. Sounds really weird. Try it. What's the most you're gonna lose? You're like, oh, don't make it again. It's not off-putting. It's just different. Give it a shot.
All right. Thank
Enjoy.
you,
All right.
Frank.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.